Hey guys, welcome to Diabetic 365, and today here we are with Chrystal. She's from Sexy-Diabetic. She's the founder of Sexy-Diabetic website, and she has been diagnosed with diabetes. She is on type 2 and she is now running on insulin. She's going to share with us the fabulous stories and all the things that she has learned these past 4 years. So let's get started.
Hello.
Hi Chrystal, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so tell us your story. So when were you diagnosed, and what's your Sexy-Diabetic all about?
I was diagnosed in November 2007. Basically, I had had symptoms for over 2 months, ignored them, paid no attention to them, and it was just when I got tired of using the bathroom a lot. I had it timed out to I would have to go to the bathroom every 45 minutes. I was constantly thirsty all the time, and I felt like I had a 300-pound monkey on my back and I had no energy. So finally, and I also worked third shift. I finally went to the doctor and he diagnosed me. I remember this exactly, 2 p.m., November 14th, 2007. I was diagnosed with diabetes type 2. And they couldn't even register with the meter how much sugar was in my blood. It just registered high. Mm-hmm. So the only accurate number I have is from my urine, and that was 800.
800. That's
in my urine. Yeah.
Yeah. So later you found Sexy-Diabetic. So how is this like? Why did you name it as Sexy-Diabetic?
I named it Sexy-Diabetic because when I became diagnosed with diabetes, I immediately went to the internet, and everything on the internet that I found back in 2007 was drudgery, super clinical, nothing inspirational about it. And I felt totally inspired by my diabetes. I saw it as another chapter in my life, not something hampering my life. And I felt young, I still felt youthful, I still felt sexy. So, plus anything that's sexy normally is a catchphrase for a lot of folks. It gets attention, so Sexy-Diabetic.
I read from your blog that your mother is also a diabetic. So how did she feel? And how is she now helping you? I heard that she's also a nurse when I was talking to you before.
My mother's a nurse. My mother's been diabetic for quite a number of years now. My mother is not a very healthy person. She has extremely unhealthy lifestyles. She's had this since I was a young girl. So the fact that she became diabetic was really no big surprise to anybody in our family. When I told her that I had become diabetic, she was just like, "Welcome to the club." And she immediately started telling me what I needed to do, how to take care of myself, what to do, what not to do, what to ask my doctors, etc., etc. On the flip side of that, my mother being a very stubborn person, she still has continued with some of her bad habits. She still has very high food intake, doesn't exercise or anything like that. So she is... anything that happens to her, I look at her as, I don't want that to happen to me. So that's how I've kind of upped my game by exercising and making sure that my diet is pretty decent.
So you said that you changed a lot of your lifestyle. So how did you do that, and in what ways, and the things you're eating or the way you exercise? Can you share us?
Sure. One of the things that I started to do immediately was cut down the stress in my life. Stress is a very important factor and a contributor to diabetes. When I was diagnosed, I was working the third shift full-time. Then I was also going to school full-time. Immediately, I quit school completely. It was a labor of love. I already had my degree in chemistry, so it was just a labor of love to me to go back to art school. I quit that immediately. With my job work schedule, I cut down the hours that I was working. My job at the time, anytime they wanted me to come in and work, I was Johnny on the spot. Work 12 hours, come back 4 hours later, pull another 8 hours. That quit. I ceased that very quickly. From there, I started watching, became more with my nutrition. I had to make sure my nutrition was fine. I learned about nutrition. I don't eat fast foods anymore. Fast food was a very big part of my diet. Now it's very minimal part of my diet. I drink mainly water. Water is my beverage of choice now. So I do about, the normal amount of water, 8 ounces of water a day or 8 cups of water a day. I make sure I get that. Exercise. I don't train for the Olympics, but I normally go out for a walk. I walk about 4 miles a day, 4 miles back to my house. I do a boot camp from time to time. I just got through doing a boot camp with a bunch of ladies on the weekend, which is a very good support system. Also, I have several videotapes that I watch, and I try to participate and go at my own speed.
So also there's a phase in your life that we discussed that you drop down, you cut down all the fat, and also you cut down your lbs, and also later you piled it up.
Beforehand, when I first was diagnosed, right after I was diagnosed, I had to go and have surgery. And after surgery, because it was in my abdomen, you're not really couldn't exercise, so I really ballooned back up to 220 pounds. After I was cleared to exercise again, I had to reduce my weight. Now I'm back lower, below 200. That's my goal right now, is to stay below 200 with my weight. It's also very healthy for me, as well as I don't have to take as much medication when I do that.
So when you told about surgery, my father also had a surgery in his leg, and he was diabetic, and his numbers were very high. So how did you maintain those numbers and still get a surgery and maintain quite a good healthy lifestyle? How did you do that?
Basically, the doctor, when my surgeon at the time, we discussed my diabetic condition, and with the surgery, they basically played it ear by ear. I stopped all the medication, and then they put me directly on insulin. At the time, I was not on insulin. So for surgery's sake, they thought it was just easier just to put me on insulin to help control my blood glucose levels while I was in the hospital. When I left the hospital, then I went back on metformin 2 times a day, 1,000 milligrams 2 times a day. And my other medications, I'm also on a blood pressure pill, as well as Lipitor, which is for your cholesterol. And it was just a matter of easing into exercising again with the walking. You're not trying to run a decathlon. You're just trying to do what your body can allow you to do for the time period. And I just checked my sugars and watched my foods.
Exactly, that's good. And I see you a lot on Twitter. I at least get 7 to 10 tweets a day from you, from all this, sending out a good tips to all the community out there. So how did you come across this Twitter? You're a chemist.
Yeah.
So so how did you come to this social network world and try to network with all these community people?
What happened was I ran into another diabetic community website. From there, they had a Twitter account. Then from Twitter, I went to, I started seeing a lot of people that I saw on this diabetic community site on Twitter. Then from there, it just kind of snowballed. You get friends and so forth. Follow somebody, follow that. And that's how that came about. And now I'm pretty much so on Twitter a lot.
And I remember you telling that right now on Twitter you see many people with type 1 and not many type 2s are active on Twitter, or for that matter on Facebook or any other social network. So what is your advice and how do you take that?
I feel a little bad that there's type 2s that do need support. They don't get it in their lives, that they can't go on social media, but I understand why, some of the reasons why they don't. Type 2 happens to us. We're already living our lives, and as adults, we already have learned how to handle situations as the lone wolf. You might be a single mother. You're handling situations by yourself. Then boom, type 2 diabetes happens. Then you have to learn how to handle that yourself. Well, type 2 diabetes is not a diabetes, for a fact, is not a lone wolf type of disease. It's really a family disease. It is a disease that needs a lot of support, and a lot of type 2s don't look for social media to help them with getting some type of emotional support for their diabetes, which is a wonderful place to find support.
You advise everyone to go on to the social networks and try to, network with other people as much as possible.
Most definitely. If you cannot find a support system in your own personal life, online and Twitter, Facebook, there are several diabetic communities that are sprouting up now. These are the places that you have to go, because if you're having issues with your diabetes, or let's say that you don't have a doctor that's very proactive with your situation, you can always question somebody. Did you have this experience? Did you have that experience? Another diabetic is going to be extremely positive and extremely honest about their position on certain issues, and let you know you need to change your doctor. He doesn't sound like he's terribly interested in you. Or this happened to me, just wait for this to happen. Because a lot of diabetics are still not health advocates, meaning that they just believe everything the doctor tells them, and that's it. They don't go out and find out what they're supposed to know about their disease. That's the reason why I made my website the way that it is, as a one-stop shop place, so folks can go in and say, oh, well, this happened to me. I didn't know this could happen. I didn't know that could happen. Whereas on regular websites, it may take 7 websites to find that one particular thing. Or you can go on a place such as Twitter, propose a question, did this happen to you, or have you had this experience? And then you can get some feedback. And that's what you really need as a diabetic, is a lot of feedback, so you'll know if you're in tune with everything else, and is your therapy going really well.
Exactly.